All right, now we're going to be pulling clutch cover off, speedo gear, gear shift mechanism, starter, and then we'll go ahead and split that case. So first thing we're going to do is pull the 8 millimeters all the way around. We've got an oil line running through here with a banjo bolt. That's a 12 millimeter bolt. So we'll go ahead and pull the oil line bolt here. It's got crush washers on either side of it. You make sure to replace those if you are replacing. If you're pulling that apart and go back together. You've got your speedo gear here, and that speedo gear, the cable is held in by a Phillips that runs right down inside here. So to pull that cable out of there, you got to remove this Phillips screw going right here, and then just kind of walk it out of there. Now to pull this, you've got a screw coming in from the top going down here. We've already started because sometimes these are a little bit of a challenge. And it's all aluminum, so you want to be careful pulling that. But you can kind of just walk that out. That's what it looks like when you pull it out. That's the speedo gear there. It turns inside there. When we pull this cover, you'll see the gear that it turns on. But there's where your cable rides right in there. So we'll go ahead, 8 millimeter, pull all these bolts around the side of this clutch cover. We'll start with the dipstick. All right, and I've got 15 of them all the way around there. So if I were to put this back together, I'd know I'd start on the dipstick and go clockwise, and I would just line them up like so. That way I know which order they go in and come going back together. So I won't have to worry about that. We'll go ahead and pull these and pull this clutch cover. Now, what I generally do is grab a small hammer about this size, and what you can do is put a little pressure going up on the case. Now a lot of times we'll just pump right off of there and just lift it right off of there. Now this dipstick will sometimes hold you up, so I like to remove that, but then there's also a gasket in there that'll sometimes hold you up. You want to be careful that you try to keep all that together so that you know going back together what goes where. So there's your gasket there. Again, obviously replace that. We've got your arm here for your shift mechanism. We've just got a little oil sitting inside there, so we're going to stick that face down on there. We'll pull these clutches now, and we've got a gear here that you can see is loose. Now going back together, you don't want them loose, but you don't need to have them really tight because of this keeper here. So go ahead, move that keeper down. We'll find the right socket here. I guess we don't even need to, but 1 1/8 is what that takes to come off of there. Normal threads, so we've got counterclockwise coming off of there. We'll go ahead and pull this inner clutch pack here, and that's what the inner clutch pack looks like. Now measurement, you measure the shoes, you get them, you want to make sure that they're within the specs, going back together, and then we've got your clutch outer gear housing here. Now this clutch outer gear can become grooved, and you don't want that. This is a one-way gear. That bearing can go out. Now pulling this clutch, this centrifugal clutch apart, you see there's grooves in this clutch pack that's dipped in. If all you're doing is replacing the centrifugal clutch, you line this gear up with those grooves, and we've got one on the other side of the clutch, and we'll just be able to pull that right out of there. Now if this clutch was turned a little bit and wasn't in where the groove was, it would not allow this gear to pull up like that. So, and you can see going back together, it would hit that clutch basket. So if line that clutch up, you're able just to pull that, slide that centrifugal clutch outer gear off very easily. Here we got your shift mechanism here, and we've got a washer, and then pull this shift assembly out. Now this is spring loaded, so you kind of want to be careful. And it's going all the way through. You know what, I think there's a keeper or a circlip holding that other side in, so we'll wait on that. But right now we'll pull this clutch pack and the 10 millimeter bolts around the outside. And we've got 5 of those 10mm bolts. And I just do it a little bit at a time because they are spring loaded. You don't want all the pressure on one screw just because it is an aluminum basket. Too much pressure on one screw could break the post off of that clutch basket. So once you get them all out there, then I just take pull it like that. Now same thing, flatten these. The keeper here, and you can see that clutch spins freely. You don't want to replace that keeper with a new one because you can tell when you bend it over like that it's going to break. Just be like bending a wire too many times. So hold your clutch pack, kind of hang on to it like that. Now when you get this off, what I do is put this back on there, and I'll show you why. Go ahead and snug these up. You don't have to tighten them because you'll have to remove it again putting that clutch back together. But you want enough pressure on there to where those plates don't turn. And again, you kind of go in a crisscross pattern. I like to tighten them all down to the same amount so we're not putting any more pressure on either one of them. Now what you're able to do, just slide that clutch pack out like that. You've got your whole clutch pack. If all you're doing is replacing the basket, which you can do, I wouldn't suggest it. I'd replace the friction disc at the same time, but you can pull the basket out that way. You've got a washer in here that is grooved that turns in there. So the likelihood of that being in the right spot to pull it up is very unlikely. So you've got to kind of turn it to get to the spot where it needs to go. And then you're able just to lift that basket out. There's a spacer in behind there. So now you can take and set this clutch pack inside that clutch basket. Keep that all together, keeps everything lined up. And then we've got your old push rod here and then your bearing.